Alrighty, so it's 5:01. There were some questions about when it's due. So technically, yes, it's due today, but I haven't taught you how to export, so I can't tell if it's done or not. If it's done, great. If it's not, I don't know, right? Technically, it's due today, but I haven't taught you how to upload, and I kind of did that a little bit on purpose because, as you guys have figured out, the editing is the time consuming part. That's the part that you can go as deep or as superficial as you want to, and it's learning the program. And that's kind of the big portion of this class is just playing around in there with some footage and seeing what you can and can't do or what you want to do. So just know that that's the bulk of the class. Your final link for your video is due next week. Technically, I have blocked out its time as the next class, which is 2 hours plus like homework time, would be more than enough time to just export your video and upload it so that you have a shareable link to me. However, if you still need a little extra time to work on your video, I don't know if you're editing past today, so I'm just going to assume we're all good to go. And that next week when your link is sent to me, I just know that you guys were good to go for today. I did it a little on purpose, so you guys had a little bit more wiggle room to ask a few final questions and try to sort some things out because I know that you're busy. So your link, your final link is due next week at 11:59 p.m. And that'll give you enough time to export and import with the class time that is available. Do you need to spend a little bit more time because one week you weren't able to dedicate your class time and your homework time and you needed to push it till this week? That's totally up to you. So know that a week from today, that final project is done. Today is our last class. It feels like just yesterday we started on this journey, and I'm pretty sure for you guys who are knee deep in editing, it feels like a lifetime since we started this journey. So again, this class is very basic information. You can make an entire Steven Spielberg feature-length movie on this if you want to, right? These are just some basic surface level things to try and help you get through getting out some video content to your students. I know it's challenging and I know it's hard. I also went through the process myself. Again, the more you play in there, the more you edit, the more you just keep trying, it just starts to become kind of second nature in the process. So know that it's a growth process and it's not always about X, Y, and Z, right? Think about where you started when you had never opened this program before in your life, right? For some of us. And look where you're at now. It's been a journey, maybe a rocky journey, maybe a smooth journey, but it's been a journey and you've learned stuff along the way that hopefully you can take with you as you keep going forward. So today we're going to talk about how to get that pesky video out of Premiere, because you never want to see Premiere again, maybe, and how to get it out so that you can get it out to your students. Know in your modules tab, the video from today will be uploaded. I also have a step-by-step guide in there as well that give you the steps to kind of check, mark it off. Exporting can get a little tricky. I have very clear steps. If you want to get more in depth with it, I am happy to share some of those details with you. We're going to go kind of the easiest but the cleanest route possible. So if you follow these steps, you'll be good to go. All right, I'm going to share my screen with you guys. So exporting and publishing. So there are some factors that you need to take into account. It is quality of the video and size of the video, right? We talked about quality a lot when we were filming. When it goes to leave this editing program, what basically happens is it tries to smush it again all together to make basically like your original footage, right? One footage. Smushes it together. If you smush it too much together, it looks like a pixelated mess. You can keep it giant, but then as you go to upload it, it's saying the file size is too big. And you're thinking, oh my goodness, I've worked my bum off to get this done. And now I can't even get it out to my students because it's so big. So you have to think about the quality and the size and find your happy medium. So Here's some vocabulary you'll want to know, because if you're going to continue working on it, this will come up. So first is codec. It determines how the file is compressed and played back to you. So there are the two main ones. There are like 1 million of them. The two main ones are H.264, which is web quality. It's a little bit of a lower quality, but it's a smaller file size so that you can upload it. And then there's QuickTime ProRes 422. It's display quality. It is much higher quality. Again, the file size is much larger. Premiere is created so it can work on Macs and PCs, but you'll notice QuickTime is something that you hear about on Macs. QuickTime ProRes 422 should work on Windows. Sometimes, depending on the error of your computer, it can get a little buggy. We are just going to go with H.264. When I was taking film classes and first learning to do film classes, they always said, just do H.264, just do H.264, just do H.264, over and over and over again. If you want to up the quality of yours and you want to learn about doing that QuickTime ProRes, shoot me an email. I'll send you some step-by-steps to that. Today, we're just going to do the H.264. So the next bullet is bit rate, and it's measured by megabytes per second. And it's the amount of information that's stored per second in your file, which is a lot of them, right? So the more bits, the higher the quality, the larger the file, right? So again, we're keeping in mind the balance of quality and size. Too big, it will not only take days to export and days to upload, it won't fit on some of the programs you're working with. So H.264, we'll kind of talk about this in the step-by-step guide that I'll go through, but it's you'll select the variable bit rate or VBR to pass, and you want to set the target between 16 and 20, meaning that your target bit rate for your file will be 16 megabytes per second, and the max it will go is 20 megabytes per second. For those of us who are not as concerned about size, we'll be able to up it, and I'll tell you those settings. But this is a good target range for you to be in, that you're not going to notice a real shift in quality. Now, if your file's too big, you start going down in bit rate size to make it smaller, but you're going to start sacrificing a lot of quality. Resolution. So the size of your frame, higher the resolution. Again, bigger the file size. Basically, the bigger you export it, the bigger the file size is going to be. And then the length of time of your video. You can't change this unless you go back to the drawing board and start editing and taking sections out, right? The longer your video, the bigger the file size. Can say that we have had a film that only like I've worked on, and it took like, it was about a 45-minute film, and it would take like 13 hours to export. The film that Stefan worked on for Sundance would take like 3 days to export. Exporting can take a really long time if you have a really long video. Most of you guys have pretty short videos. Exporting will take time. Exporting will always take time. Don't leave it to the 5 minutes before your students are going to walk in to export it, because you might not make it, right? So it'll give you an estimation. Of course, computers sometimes will give you an estimation and then it's done like 5 seconds later. So let it steady out a little bit to figure out what it is. It takes time. I cannot stress enough to always leave time for exporting. Don't edit to the last second, because I've tried and it doesn't work out very well. All right, here are the steps. If you're already done with your video, which I might assume you are, you can do this right now. If not, again, step-by-step, found in the modules tab. So here you go. You're going to open the file that you've been working on in Premiere Pro, and then open up your final sequence. So the sequence is this part right here. So I put a video of it, and you'll see different layers. If you got text on top and sound on the bottom, right? This is the part that you want to make sure is your most final version. You're going to set an in and an out point. Now we learned about in and out points, and we set them in the top corner screen for what we were pulling in And this time we're talking about simply this picture right here in your timeline. So you're going to take that blue little line or your playhead and bring it all the way to the start of your video. All the way. So you drag it all the way to the top of your video, press that plus button to zoom in to make sure you're not accidentally a millisecond over into your sound or something. And then you're just going to hit the key I, a lowercase I. Then you're going to go all the way to the end of your video. Now, I personally like to just drag the blue playhead and zoom in because that's what I know. If you press shift, it will cut it straight to the end. It'll just move the guy all the way to the end. And then you'll press O for out point. And you'll notice it'll kind of like gray it out. And now the computer knows I want to export just this part. Without setting that, it will export this part and an infinity amount of blank space that is behind it, right? And you'll be waiting till forever and realize, why in the world is this not working? So you set those in and out points. Then, not so hard part, you go to the top, press File, Export, and then you're going to select Media. Something will pop up. You will have format. You're going to, again, select H.264. If you remember anything, H.264. I always want to do H.264. Unless you're interested in learning about ProRes and we can chat. Then you'll select your preset after you select your format. I know not everyone's going on to YouTube, but this is how Premiere categorizes it. Select YouTube 1080p full HD. And that's going to give you the easiest export without over compressing it and keeping the correct framing. All right. There will be a box at the midpoint and you will see a couple different tabs. Do not touch effects, multiplexer, captions, or publish. Don't select any of those 4 items that's at that midway point underneath your format and presets. If you are Stefan, who's making films every day, then you play with that. For our purposes, we're not going to play with it because it's going to make it way more complex than it needs to be. So we're just not going to touch those 4. But you are going to see a tab that says video settings, and that's the one you're going to get to click. So when you click on the video settings, you'll find it about halfway through the box that pops up. You want to set your resolution to 1920 by 1080. There will be a word that says frame rate and a little gray box. You want to make sure you click that box. That box, all it's going to do is saying the frame rate that it's exporting is the same frame rate you filmed in. It's going to make the quality a little bit smoother. And then
Kelly,
yep,
you
Stephanie.
slow down a little bit real quick. Sorry, panicked. I was actually following the steps. So I see effects, video, audio, multiplex, captions, publish. So I'm in the video settings, basic video settings. I have to click on that.
Yep, you'll select video on the middle part where you said audio, effects, multiplexer. You'll select video.
Okay.
You set the resolution to 1920 by 1080.
See, I'm not seeing where to.
You'll need to
see basic video settings and then map first.
So you'll have to keep scrolling down. I'm going to load my Premiere project so that I can show you as well. It'll give it a second because it's like a 2-hour-long video. So give it a second to load and I can share my screen of that. So you'll do the resolution. There'll be a frame rate box. There'll be
I see frame rate, but I don't see resolution.
Let's see. My video, it's taking its time, but it's loading.
Oh, wait a minute. I see your frame rate. Okay.
And then bit frame rate. So I'll move past that one and I'll share my screen here shortly with the Premiere project. You'll set your bit rate encoding to set VBR to pass. And I'll be honest, I don't know what that means. Every time I go to export something, this is exactly what Stefan tells me to do. And it works every time my videos look clean. So I just do this one, okay? Exporting is like an art craft in its own. depending on where you're delivering it to and who you're delivering it to, all these settings change.
So I found bitrate. What are you supposed to select again?
You want to select bitrate encoding. And then we want to select for the bitrate encoding, we want to select set VPR to pass.
2 pass, not 1 pass.
Yeah, 2 pass. Again, 2 pass, not sure, but told to do it that way. So I listen because it works every time.
Okay.
I'm pulling up my in output. I'm like setting my in and out points here so that I can, there we go. I can share my screen with you guys. File, export, media. Alrighty. So Stephanie, the video, let's see. Oh, I have to, mine automatically saves to QuickTime. There we go. Okay, video.
Is 27.99 all right?
So yeah, I'm gonna show you that in a second. So what you're gonna do for the resolution, it'll be under width and height. Right under basic video settings, the first one, you'll see a little gray box. You'll unclick it. You'll change it so that it is the 1920 by 1080.
Got that part.
Perfect. Then you're good with the resolution part.
Yeah.
Great. So our target bit rate for H.264 is set usually at 16. If you're not worried about file size, you can do a higher quality at 30. So you can go that range. You just want to make sure that your max bit rate, if you're set at 16, should be about 20. And if you're setting it at 30, it should be about 35. So you can lessen your bit rate. Again, it'll decrease the quality. It will also decrease the size. So find your sweet spot. Those would be the low and the high point I would recommend. Next, you're going to go to the audio settings tab, and the only thing you're going to change there is on audio quality, and you're going to set it to high. So after you've done that, you've done all the hard part of the clicking. Good news. So you'll notice in your little player that pops up where you're answering all these questions and checking and unchecking boxes, you'll see a square that looks like it can play your movie. You'll be able to move or scrub through your movie by, pulling across the blue part. And all I do is I drag it across left and right just to make sure like any of those last minute edits I made were still there and everything looks good. It won't play it back for you, but you'll be able to just kind of move the cursor along the bottom of the line. Yes, Stephanie, go for it.
Where did you find that?
I'm sorry, I'm very visual, so.
That's okay. Let me go ahead and share. Let's see if it's can you guys see my square with my H.264 right now? Brilliant.
Yeah, I see that, but that's not the screen I'm at right now.
So I'll back it up a little bit. So you can see my project right now. And
Yeah.
I've set my in and out points, and I go to file, and then I go to export, and I select media, H.264. I'll go ahead and put all of those details in, right? So my preset, here's the video, here's my audio. And then my last step is right here. And this is not mandatory, but it's always a good practice. This little blue line right here will bring me through my video. And
I don't see that blue line. I don't have that blue line.
I don't have the blue line either.
So you might need to see this file tab that I'm moving around. You might need to make it bigger.
It's the whole screen right now.
Okay.
Whole screen. Whole screen. Sorry.
Can you move your computer up? I'm gonna try and look at the bottom there to see what I can help you with. Is your bar on the bottom covering up that section? So you might move it from a full screen to like a partial screen, and that might solve the issue.
Oh, there it is. Okay, I don't know how to minimize the size of it. Here,
That's
hold on.
okay. That's okay. Stephanie, did that help for you?
I can't find it.
Would
On
you
my
like to, maybe at the end, you can share your screen?
Yeah,
Perfect.
sure.
Great.
Thank you.
No, of course. I'm here to help in any way I can. So I scrubbed through here again, temporary, you don't have to do it, but I just checked to make sure I can see what some of my video is and that it's doing what it's supposed to do. And then you're gonna hit export.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
I go back to my PowerPoint. And now it is exporting. It is getting out of there with all the right presets. Do not let your computer fall asleep while it's exporting. So I recommend changing those settings that automatically put your computer asleep, because once it goes to sleep, it's going to pause all the applications that are running. And that export that you said, I'm going to make dinner and then I'll come back and check it out, or I'm going to go to bed and in the morning, I'm sure it'll be done, is paused like a couple minutes where you left it, right? So keep it awake. You can change those settings typically in your computer. Sometimes I'll like turn on a Spotify playlist and then turn the volume off and go. If you're working on a laptop, make sure your laptop's charged, because if it dies, it also no longer does anything. So make sure your computer's not going to do a restart in the middle of the night, all those good things. And be patient with it, because it can take time depending on how high of a quality you're exporting. So before I move on to publishing, any questions about the exporting? Cool, great. This is a little bit, in my opinion, a little bit easier because you follow the steps and you just click and unclick and you trust that I'm giving you the sound advice on how to export, right?
Kelly, are you gonna put this PowerPoint up on
Absolutely.
in Canvas? Okay.
Yep. So PowerPoint will be on Canvas. I copied all that information and made them into bullet points as well in a separate document in case you want to print it out and like physically check things off. I'm one of those people who, like, even if I've done a chore, if I didn't write it down and put a check next to it, I don't feel satisfied with it. So if you're a person who needs to add a check, you can do that as well. And then if you'd rather just see me do it on the video, you can come back and watch the video. All of it will be in the module tabs on Canvas.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course. All right, the next part is like, great, I've shared my video and what am I gonna do about it? Now, there is one step that you should be aware of. There is a place where you can decide where your video is going to go. When you've got that video screen open, there's a blue line that you can click on and change the name of your video and where it's going to go. I always recommend sending it to the exports folder that Stefan helped you guys set up on that day. It's going to your computer regardless. You just get to decide where it goes. So if you're a person who would rather send it somewhere and search through your Finder, you can do that. If you're ever exporting and you're like, I didn't do this part, or I don't remember how to do this part, you can always cancel and just restart the export. It's not going to like ruin everything that you've got. So we're going to talk about how to get that video from wherever it lives on your computer and up onto a platform that your students, the public, whomever you want, wants to watch it on. So I have some 3 options. There are pros and cons to everyone. If I could create a program that was like user-friendly, has all the options I want to, and a publishing program that like has all the things I want to have, but none of the things that I don't, and it's just absolutely perfect, I'd be a billionaire, but I don't. So we're working with what we got. So we have YouTube, Vimeo, and then embedding your video in Canvas at a website. So YouTube, here are my top pros. It's easy to upload. Students are familiar with this program. Most of your students probably watch some Fortnite something on YouTube at least once, right? Something on YouTube. So it's user-friendly. Most people know how to use YouTube. On YouTube with a free program, my understanding is you can add chapters. I'm going to talk a little bit about what chapters are and how that can be helpful. The con with it is a lot of schools block YouTube because kids like to watch Fortnite things on YouTube in the middle of school. So if you're working at a school district, be aware they could block it on the internet server in your school. And what use is the video that you can't even play in your own school? So be aware of that. The con is YouTube adds advertisements. And sometimes they are advertisements you don't want your user to see or view. And oftentimes it's randomized. So it is kind of what it is. I do have a workaround for that. It's called QuietTube. If you're interested, I'm happy to share that with you if you're, in a classroom. And then there are those suggested videos on the side. QuietTube can help with that, but sometimes those videos are like, I don't know, the new Lego movie. And instead of watching you doing what you're doing on the video, they're more excited about the video that's coming up and want to tell you everything they know about the Lego movie that's upcoming. So there are cons to it. Vimeo, another streaming platform. It is designed for more professional footage to be uploaded. There is more customization on it. There is no ads on it. It sounds like, what? This is exactly what we wanted from YouTube. Well, the con is that there's limited storage with a free account. So then you sacrifice quality for some of the other things. And unless you have a paid account, you can't add chapters on Vimeo. So they took about what we love and hate about one another and just switched them. And so you kind of pick what works best for you. The third option is embedding your video in Canvas or on a website. The reason I didn't have you just upload your videos straight into Canvas is because one of the videos would have taken up all my storage for every Canvas course I have. Canvas has a very limited amount of storage, especially when it comes to videos. So most people are storing videos on YouTube and linking them in Canvas, which is why you'll see if you go to watch any of these videos, you click on the link and it'll bring you to YouTube, and I have it unlisted because if I uploaded one of the class, I'd be past my max size in the first 10 minutes. So know that Canvas has a limited amount of space. And same with your websites. If you have a Google Classroom website or even a personal website through Squarespace or anything like that, it doesn't always have the amount of space that you need to have multiple videos on them. So a streaming service can sometimes help with that space issue. The good thing about embedding your videos onto Canvas or your website is sometimes you don't need the internet because it's already embedded in there. And they're easier to access because they're kind of located right then and there. They're held within that server. Con is limited storage. Also, you have to design basically a description and a title page and all those things. So pros and cons to all of them. I'm going to teach you how to do YouTube and Vimeo. Canvas and the websites will be totally dependent on who you're working with, what your district has set up, how much space it has, etc. So if you're interested in just bringing the video directly onto one of those pages, I'm happy to walk you through that either at the end of class or over the next week. But I would highly, highly recommend picking one of these streaming services and embedding it into Canvas or the website so that it's an external link that's holding all the data. So YouTube upload steps. So you sign into YouTube, I'm missing a parentheses, and you click this little camera with the plus button icon. I sometimes can't find it. It's always at the top right-hand corner, but this camera with the plus sign, and you'll click create, and then you'll select upload video. And then you'll just select from your computer where in the world that file went. So if it went to your exports folder, great. You can go to that folder in exports and select it. or wherever you put it. Sometimes I put things directly to my desktop and then move it later because I know I can get to my desktop very easily. So wherever you put it is where you'll select it from.
Ellie, I have a question. Okay, so mine is in process of encoding copy
Mm-hmm.
of the video.
Yep.
When this is done, is it going to give me an option to put it in a place where I know where it goes, or where
Nope.
is it going to go?
So wherever your computer is preset to go is where it'll go. If you go back a few steps before you hit export, you could select that blue line and change the name of it. So you can say like final or V1 final or rough cut or final cut and select your location there. Otherwise, it will go directly to where all of your materials go. Typically, I would say I find it usually on the desktop or in documents or downloads. You can always look through your recents or do a find on your computer through a finder.
Okay.
So YouTube has some extras on here. You can name it and title it. So depending on if it's a series of videos, you might want to title it something specific. You might want to add your name or your company, etc. A description. So I always tell people to describe their video. Super important here. This is where you credit anybody. So if you use somebody's music and the licensing said, you've got to credit us, then you want to make sure you credit them or anybody else who worked on the video and you want to give them a little special thanks is a great place to put it. And I always, if I'm doing a visual art project or even drama or something and I need materials, I always make sure I type out the materials in the description as well, because they can either watch it and get my materials, or if they're at Michael's and they're picking up all the materials and they don't want to press play in the middle of the Michael's or like write a list post, they can scroll through your description and see it there. So I always say put those, any materials you need for the project you're going to outline in that description. This is also where you can add chapters. So I'm going to change my screen to my videos and I'm going to go see, this is like all of our YouTube page. You can see I have like lots of videos. And I'm going to pull up one of our videos that we have. And you'll notice right here, I have chapters. So in order to make a chapter, you add the timestamp, a dash, and the name of the chapter. This is what a chapter looks like. Let's see if I can get to the actual video. Nope, not there. Give me 1 second and I will pull that up for you. There we go. Oh, I always want to share screen just a little too quick and then it like only shows a bar. Too quick for the computer. So if I go to my videos, what you can see when I click on the video is that
And I am with the Arts Learning.
There are these little spots and divots in the timeline. They're a little faint, but you can see I've named them. So if I'm using this for a substitute teacher and they need a pause or they need to go back, they're not guessing at what time to go back. They're going to be here and someone's going to say, I need the vocabulary again. And they can scroll over here and show, oh, the vocabulary starts right here.
Materials.
And I can press where my vocabulary is at. So the chapters are just something that can help be user-friendly. Again, none of this is required. I just need a link to your video. But if you want to gain viewership and you want to make it a little easier, you can do that by adding chapters into that description. And again, you timestamp it, the dash, and then whatever you want to name the chapter. You always have to have a start time. Otherwise, it has no idea when to start. So 0, 0, 0, start. And then everything after that, you can put the timestamp and then name the chapter. So you can see this one, I have objectives, materials, vocabularies, and then I actually went the other step and did all my steps. Step 1, preparing the materials. Step 2, creating the circle template. Step 3, using the photo reference, right? And so I did my steps there. So again, someone's playing this video and they're like, oh, wait, I need to go back to the circle template. They can pretty easily scrub over that timeline and go to the circle template. So again, the timestamp is right here. Thumbnails.
Kelly, does just putting it in that format automatically insert those divots?
Yep, automatically inserts those divots, and you just have to do it in the description. It'll show in the description, so I always make sure it's like nice and linear, that people, it's readable still and legible. But just adding the timestamp, this little colon or a dash, and then the title of whatever you want to call it, adds it automatically. I mean, you have to save, but we'll add it to your video. This YouTube makes thumbnails hard. So a thumbnail is that video that appears before you play, right? YouTube loves to pick them, and they always pick one where you like have one eye open and your like mouth is half open and you're like doing something like this. And you're like, I don't want that on the internet. Like, oh my gosh, but this is horrible. And I always like shriek when I see what it chooses for me. I'm always making like the worst face possible. So here's how you can kind of do the thumbnails. You can pick the ones that it selects for you. So it will select 3 for you. I don't know how they pick it. It never ends up being a good one of me. I like to, if I'm doing a visual art one, pick a picture of my final product. If I'm doing a dance one, something that looks engaging or interesting. A lot of people will just do their logo. If they have a logo or you want to create a logo and that's going to be the top of all your videos, you can do that. I like to try and keep it different. So if someone's kind of looking through my page, they can see a difference, but it's really a preference for you. So if I don't want to pick one of these thumbnails, I have a workaround for it. Again, not necessary. You can pick whatever thumbnail it gives you and just call it a day, sort of thing. I personally get a little type A and know that I can change it, so I change it. So I'm going to introduce you to a program that is easy. There's a free version. I actually pay for the professional version because I love it that much. But it's called Canva. It's a digital design platform that makes marketing materials much easier, because that's not my forte. And I end up making a lot of marketing materials. Some of you guys, it's like some of these things you guys have seen before and you're like, oh, I saw that. I make it on here. There are lots of great templates on here that do it for you. Like this holiday one, I wish I could say I was a genius and came up with like this really cute purple and green layered effect. I didn't. They had it there and I just adjusted it and edited it to say what I wanted it to say. But what you can do here is create a design. And what I do is that you can usually type in like YouTube thumbnail so you can see all the options. You can also create a custom one. You always want to do 1280 by 720 for the design because that's the size of the thumbnail. And when I select it, now it's just a blank size of a thumbnail. I can add, you can see they have like all types of different designs. I can add text to it. I can add backgrounds to it. You can add whatever you want to. For me personally, what I typically do is I take a screenshot or even a picture of my final product and I'll upload it onto my computer. And then I just upload it into Canva. So you can add like photos right here or uploads. You can see all the stuff I've uploaded. Actually, these were the ones I grabbed for my dance ones because again, I was not looking so great. I just screen grabbed them. I took a picture of them. I arrange it. I kind of drag it. I'm like, oh, it's okay if it's a little bit bigger. Figure out what I want. I hit this cute little download button up here. I can decide which way I want to do it. And I select download and it downloads straight to my computer and then I can upload it straight into YouTube. So it's another little program that you can play around with. It took me a little bit to learn how to do it, but once I learned how to do it, it was much better than this, solidified on the internet for the rest of all years. So it's called Canva. So like Canvas, but without the S, canva.com. You can have a professional account or a free account. You can see these are the ones I make for our classes. The great thing is when I made the first one, I can duplicate it and then just change the words on it. So if I'm doing a series of stuff and I want them to all say the same, but I want them to look similar, I can just do this as well. So it's a little shortcut to the thumbnail if you're interested in doing more with a thumbnail. And it'll be an upload option right here that you can select. And then I can change it and select anything that's on my computer. So if you want to just select a picture that you took from your computer, chances are it'll have like black bars on it because it's not exactly the rectangle. But again, all optional, just something extra. So thumbnail 720 by 1280. Canva is a free option if you want to go that route. A screenshot. Here are the shortcuts for a screenshot, whether you're on Mac or Windows. Those are both ways that you can do that if you so choose so. All right, Vimeo. If you would like to go through Vimeo, you'll log into a Vimeo account, free or professional. Check, you're going to click, it'll say new video. It'll be an icon at the top right-hand side. You'll press select files to upload and you'll find the video that's on your computer and you'll create your set of optional settings. So similar process, just the interface looks slightly different. You can do title, you can do descriptions. Chapters are only for professional accounts. And that's kind of a bummer because the chapters option is pretty cool, especially thinking about who your users might be who need to replay it a couple times or certain sections a couple times. The thumbnail option though, is they make it so much easier. So I'm going to show you my videos on Vimeo. I don't have that many. I have me reading a syllabus to students last year when the pandemic happened, instead of asking them to reread the new syllabus. But the great thing about the thumbnail is you can upload like we did for YouTube, select random, or my favorite, you can select from the video and you can literally play your video or move this blue thing until you find exactly the part you
Having
want.
spotty internet or you're not having access to internet, we can have a conversation
I can't get it to
basically
stop.
over the phone through a
Well, you're
landline
having
or
to-
even a cell.
So when you press play, it'll do the audio, but when you press stop, it will save your thumbnail there. So Vimeo makes the thumbnail easier, but they don't give you chapters. So they both don't have perfect options unless you're willing to pay for an account. Canvas and other websites. So you can upload your video from your computer straight into these places. Size and space are the biggest issue. You may need to adjust the size and quality of your video. So you may go to upload it and realize, oh my gosh, I'm so close yet so far away. I need to re-export and change my bitrate, or I need to re-export and make it a little bit smaller. That's an option, right? Create spaces on your pages for description, materials, and other information for viewers. So if you just pop a video on a blank website, we'll have no idea what it is or why it's there. So make sure you like add a title at top and say like materials or a description or things like that. Questions about those three really programs for uploading? Awesome, we are trekking along. Okay, told you we're gonna have a short class today. So I'm gonna get out of my presentation view. I'm going to go ahead and send this in the chat, but we are now at the point of the semester where you have the tools you need to get a basic video. Again, I am not here to teach you how to edit a full-length film video, because to be completely honest, I can't edit a full-length film video without pulling out my hair and probably crying at least 1,000,000 times. It is hard and it is challenging, but this is really just here to give you some really basic skills to try and edit together some footage for your students to have, to give you the skills for if you're filming footage later on, how to do it in the best possible way you can, right? Little tricks of the trade that have just been kind of helpful when it comes to surviving in this new internet dimension or world or whatever we want to say it is. So we're at the point of the semester where we're going to do our end of semester survey. They are the same questions that I asked you at the top of the semester. Feel free to answer them honestly. Also, feel free to reflect on where you started at the beginning of the year. I will say that I would bet that all of us, especially those of us who had never heard of Premiere Pro or ever opened it, at least have moved up one notch, right? I may not be going to Sundance next year, but if I open up Premiere, I don't clam up and say, I've never seen this before. But I know some basic skills, right? There are things on there like I'm advanced in Premiere Pro, and I'm not advanced in Premiere Pro. So I don't expect anyone to have like all of a sudden are going to Cannes next year with their new video art tutorial. But I hope that you gained something, some nugget of technology to bring with you, even the smallest little bit. So I'm putting the survey in the chat. Again, you can find the survey on here. This is due by 11:59 p.m. So you've got lots of times to answer like 4 or 5 questions. This is also helpful for us to just track growth, especially because we have been so graciously funded by the Utah State Board of Education to have a class like this. So this is also helpful for them to know just what was learned and what was shared throughout the evenings. Can I go back to presentation mode so you don't have to see all of the tabs I have open, or as many of them. So the survey's due. And then here are your final steps. Complete your survey. Should take you a pretty quick time. Export your video, upload it to the desired platform, and send me a link to your video on Canvas by next week, March 24th by 11:59 p.m. And that's it. You've made it. I know it's hard to believe, but you have made it. You've made it to the end. So just upload those videos. With your permission, I would love to share some of these videos, not publicly, but just with our folks over at the Utah State Board of Education to let them know just what we've been doing over the semester. If you don't feel comfortable with that, which I completely understand, absolutely no explanation at all, it will not affect your grade, anything to think of you, absolutely nothing. Shoot me an email and say, I'd rather not share my video. I'm still feeling a little beginner at this. I don't feel comfortable, or don't say anything. Just say, please don't share my video. And I will say, absolutely. So, let me know. There is no pressure to share or not share. I think it would just be nice if we could share a few of them with those who are helping fund projects like this. So, all right. Questions about the content tonight or what's coming up next? Yeah, Jody, go for it.
Couple questions. One, just like housekeeping type stuff. So if we were doing this one for credit, do we just go to Weber to get the transcript, or how does that work?
Yes, that's a great question. So Weber you will request a transcript from Weber. Even though our class is over, you'll probably have to wait to the end of the technical semester, which is not till the beginning of May, for that to show up on the transcripts. Usually they kind of refresh around that time. But yeah, if you call Weber State University and go, I'm sure if you just look on their site for transcripts, they'll have a number to call and how to access them and who they send them to. So yeah, it will show up on an official transcript.
Okay, but wait till May to
you could technically call them now and ask and say, my class is ending on this Wednesday, but because CE doesn't necessarily match up with the rest of the university, sometimes they wait until the end of the semester and just process all of them right away. So if you can, I would wait. If not, give them a call. The other thing to think of is if you are needing it by May and Weber doesn't have it, shoot me an email. I'm happy to write a letter that says you completed the course, that the transcript will show up once Weber process it, etc. So I'm happy to write a letter if you need it for, any sort of licensure, endorsement, etc.
Okay. And I had another quick question.
Go for it. Yeah, of course.
So I wanted to do like a close-up of some of my things.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then put them in. So would you recommend like just doing a straight picture and putting them in, or trying to record with the camera? Like if, like, I just wanted to show like my puppet and things like that a little closer.
So you can either in Premiere Pro zoom in, so you can cut it and then zoom into the image,
Okay.
or taking a photo also will work on top of it. They'll play a little differently, but ultimately you'll get around the same result. For me, I'm somebody who sometimes it's easier for me to just take the picture that I want, but Premiere also allows you to zoom in and adjust exactly what you want. So you don't have to, I don't know, sometimes I'll be like holding the phone on my chin and like putting the puppet's arm so that it looks like it's doing something, and that can be a little challenging. So
Okay.
you can always zoom in through Premiere Pro.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Maria, do you want to discuss your question all together, or would you like me to shoot you an email about it?
It's okay. Yeah, you can answer it right now.
Okay, great. I don't want to like,
No,
I-
it's okay.
when
I
some
don't know
people
if it's
message
too
me-
long. I'm waiting. I'm wondering about like the upload and things like that. So if it's too big,
so
gonna take
I would recommend you keep your videos, if possible, between 8 and 10 minutes. So I know
I
that's
can
hard,
have like half
but
of it.
here's what I would recommend, Maria, for people who have longer videos, and we absolutely have lots of longer videos. I would see if I could cut it into like 3 different steps. So like 3 different videos. So I would maybe cut the first video and have a little picture that comes up at the end that says, thanks for watching part 1 of Faux Stained Glass. Check out our next link to see part 2. So that then it's a little bit easier to digest watching wise. So you can always do something like that as well, or you can always try to pare down by editing out footage.
Okay.
So that would be my recommendation. If you're going to export a 25-minute video, be prepared for it to take a long time, and then uploading it is where you get snagged on it because of the file size.
So
So if
Kelly,
if I do like 3 of them, do you want me to like give you all of them? If I have like
I
part
mean,
1, part 2, part 3, and
you-
how do I?
You only have to give me one. Of course, I would love to see all 3 of them, but in order to receive credit for the course, you only have to send me one.
Okay.
I would love to see all of your videos. There is no pressure to do so if you feel like you need to still work on some of the other parts. So
Okay, that's good.
I'll leave it as that.
so Kelly, along those lines, when we do our I and our O on our, because I've already done my, and mine's long too. Mine's 27 minutes, but it has multiple parts. And anyway, so can I select in and out and upload that as part 1, then do the same in and out?
Yes, you can do that. What I would recommend though is to create 3 different project files of them, so that at the end of part 1, you can add a voiceover or a little image that says like, thanks for watching part 1. Find part 2 on my YouTube channel, or find part 2 on this playlist, or see part 2 below, or where, whatever it is. You don't have to, but I would recommend doing it that way so that you feel like you have an actual ending to the part 1 video. Let me pull up an example, because we ran into this as well when it was a longer visual art project. We were like, what are we gonna do with all this faux stained glass stuff?
Hello, my name.
And to be honest, when we filmed it the first time, we didn't realize how long it was gonna be. So I had to do like a little voiceover post with our artist, Erin. And so at the end, she got to a point that felt like a good stopping point. Instead of saying like, oh, right at 8 minutes, I'm gonna cut out, she felt like she was at a good stopping point. And then she said,
Thick black glue that dries three-dimensionally and it is opaque. You can see by this example
she's taking
that
a little
these
bit
are
longer.
leading lines that I have traced with liquid leading. They are raised above the surface and create the illusion of that black outline or that leading cane that they use in traditional stained glass. Now that we've finished tracing our template, we'll move on to the liquid leading part of the project in the next video.
So we were able to kind of like cheat it by adding a little voiceover at the end and a little tag that says like, see you soon or see you at the next video. So that's what I would recommend, Rebecca. Not required, but I would recommend doing something like that for viewership and easy to watch.
Okay, thanks.
Does that help?
Yes, it does.
Okay, awesome.
Sorry, my family's trying to eat dinner and I'm.
No worries, no worries.
Turn you off the
We are having frozen chow mein tonight because I'm not around to cook dinner. So good for you.
So what, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, that's not a question. So what you're saying is like, okay, I'm gonna have one project and then open another one because I have everything together. So I need to start all over again.
No.
I'm like, okay,
You don't-
I'm gonna have a
You
headache.
never need to, you never need to
So-
start over. You never need to
So-
start over. So you don't have to start all over. I can send you, anybody else have a long video that they need to make? Okay, how about this? I'm gonna send you guys a step-by-step with some pictures. Will that be helpful?
Yeah. I'm like,
I know, it's a lot.
That
It's
will
a
be
lot to
wonderful.
take in.
hey,
Of
thanks.
course. Yep, I'll do a step-by-step on that one as well.
Kelly, I have a question. I'm wondering, so after we're done with this class, we had all these lovely YouTube videos of recordings of classes that I replayed several times. The video, I'm like, oh, no, go back to that part. Oh, no, go back to that part. I want that stuff available to me after class is over. How can we make that happen?
Okay, so so those videos are unlisted because one, a little bit of intellectual property, and two, because I don't want the whole world to watch me lecture sometimes for 2 hours for the whole public to see. Your
get
Canvas page should permanently be under your eWeaver credentials with all these documents. I am never gonna pull these YouTube videos. They're just always gonna be unlisted. So if you want to save these links somewhere, they'll be up in that modules course. It'll just be under past courses at Weaver in your Canvas. So you can always access it. But I will not take these links offline for all the videos. They're just gonna be unlisted, meaning you can't search for them on YouTube.
Okay.
Does that?
So we should be able to go through Canvas and should still be able to find it in past. Okay.
Yep, so I'll pull up Canvas
I know.
and
the
show
next-
you.
The next video I create, I'm gonna be like, crap, how do I export it again?
That's okay, that's okay.
This is
So,
already done. I've already forgotten.
no, that's okay. That's just part of the process. So you'll see my Canvas courses here, and I can go to my history and see all the stuff that I've done, but also if I scroll down, I'll see my unpublished. And then if I go to my courses here, I can select all courses, and now I can see my past. These are all the classes I've taken or have been a part of. So you should be able to see all your past enrollments. They should not ever take it down. You'll just have to remember to log in through Weaver Canvas. So however you want to store that information, it is yours to have for eternity. I also am a human. So like, just because class ends next week, if you have a question, I can't say 10 years from, okay, 10 years from now, Stefan will have the answer. I'm not sure I will be keeping up with the technology 10 years from now. I can't tell you what's gonna happen in 10 years, but email me and say, Help, I forgot how to export. Help, I forgot I need a transition. I can't find my file. How can I find my file again? Like, you can email me. As many of you guys have noticed, I will email at like 11:30 p.m. on like a Saturday night while I'm watching Gilmore Girls and like writing emails. So email me. I want to be a resource to you guys. I'm not just here to teach the class and like turn off the screen afterwards. So email me. Other questions, comments, or needs? I'm happy to make more step-by-steps if there are some needs. I know there's the one for the multiple videos.
So
I'll make that
Kelly,
happen.
I have a question just about my fonts, and I don't know.
Okay.
I've put, instructions up on my videos, and the font, when I go under the text, whatever, not fonts, it shows that there's no shadow. And when I'm in the editing window, it looks clean and clear. And then when I start to play the video, the text all looks funky and dark
Like
and
pixelated?
yeah.
It could be so. It could be something called rendering. So what happens when you start to edit a video, if there's a ton of files and your computer is like doing its best to try and render it back to play it back to you, it's just because it's needing time to catch up. So give it a little bit, Rebecca, and let it render, and then try to play it back and see if that solves your text. If it's happening in the export, then it might have to do with the quality in which it's exporting.
Sorry, I just took a bite of food before you finished.
No, that's fine. I used to be a waitress, so I'm very good at asking people questions as soon as you put food in your mouth. It's
Yeah, so
my talent.
it's I haven't exported it yet. I'm just in these, going over in the assembly editing. As I've watched it, and I thought, oh, it would be good if I put some written instructions or clarify, and I put them up top, the way you have stuff on, and you put in the instructions. But like I said, it looks great when I'm editing and nice and clear, and then I go out of the editing to and start watching it. Just really, I don't know that it's pixelated. It just looks dark, like it's got a shadow on it or something. And when I go back,
it says no shadow.
yeah,
I
I don't know if that's just quirk in program for me or what, but
Let me.
it's not that big of a deal. I'll put it out. I'll publish it like that. It's one of those little.
Yeah, you should be able to. I would first and foremost, I would mess with some of those other options next to shadows. Sometimes they can add like an outline to it that can give it that look. But depending on if you just put in the text and are trying to play it back instantly, it might need a little bit of time. So take a step away from it and come back and try to replay it. It also can be that if your computer is slow, it'll lag when it's playing. I would try to export just that part of it and check if it looks like that in the final version. So just like export that part that's the text at the in and out point as the part that's just the text, and check what the export looks like.
Okay. And
that would be my recommendation.
Just know that's why my text looks fuzzy.
That's okay. That's okay. And hopefully those two options will work. My guess is that the export's going to export it clean, and it's just your computer trying to keep up with all the demands to run the program and all the things you're adding to it.
Thank you.
Of course. Yeah, Rebecca, let me say this. So it's 6:07. We have till 7 o'clock together. I have delivered all the content that I have for you. So you are welcome to call it a day. Please fill out the survey. Please, please, please. I want to mark it as complete. You are also welcome to stay on. I think a lot of people have some questions, and I'm going to troubleshoot with them the best that I can. So you are welcome to stay on and just listen to others' questions if you have them, or if you just want to learn from that process. But otherwise, you are dismissed to go. So I just wanted to preface that before I take more questions. So if you are leaving, it's been a wonderful class. It has been amazing to watch you guys grow and learn. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, Rebecca, I'm gonna go ahead and answer your question.
Okay, I've got a couple.
Okay,
One is when I play my video, it's very choppy. Is that part of the computer just trying to keep up?
yes.
Or are my edits that I made to cut things out and I have transitions, that's not the problem.
Mhm.
It just, every time it goes over a place where I've edited and cut something out, it sort of gives a jump or
So-
a sketchy kind of,
So what you'll want to do in that situation, so that if it's only jumping when it's over a cut, then it has to do with the cut. So what you'll want to do is that you will either want to adjust that edit so that it edits at a nicer place, or what I would do is make your transition longer so that it gives it a little bit smoother time. Sometimes what helps is if I have a little bit of space in between the first and the second cut, because if I'm saying red and then boom, it cuts to blue without any space, I'll notice that because that's not our typical cadence in our voice. Or I notice a huge shift. So I would add your cross dissolve. I would maybe lengthen your cross dissolve. And if that doesn't work, I would maybe put a little bit of like no space in between the two footage to help smooth that out. But yeah, that would be the edit. If you're playing it back and where you haven't done an edit, you're noticing that it looks a little robotic, then it would be the rendering with the playback issue in the computer. Does that make sense? So you'll want to just kind of finesse those edits to make them the smoothest as possible, right?
okay, sometimes when I go to make edits, it wants to render.
That's
Do you
okay.
let the computer render it?
Yeah, so that's your computer trying to keep up. Yes, you'll let it render it. And so that's the biggest thing with having a computer strong enough to process it is that my render I have a newer computer, luckily. And so I can have like 20 layers and the render will come up and it'll take 10 seconds and then go away. So that has to do with the processing speed. Allow it to render and hopefully it's not doing that too much. Or I would recommend if you have another computer to explore moving the files over to another computer.
Yeah, this is it. But I've been stopping it. I've been canceling it because I didn't know that I should let it render. I thought that might ruin it. So that might fix the problem.
It could, yeah, it could help fix the problem. Absolutely. And those, that doesn't oftentimes come up. It just typically comes up if you have a ton of files or if the computer just doesn't meet the requirements that Adobe has. But try that and see if that works.
Okay. And I'm having trouble getting the vertical to horizontal. It's not working. I'm following the instructions and it's still not working. So I'm not sure about that. But the other thing that's happened is when it does work, because I've got so many cuts, when it does work and I put in text to my video, I can't see the text. I can see that it's there in the writing that I've typed in, but it's not showing up on the screen.
So what I would recommend is you want to click and highlight all of the footage that you want to rotate so that you do them all at once. And then I would save it so that it doesn't have a chance of going back. When you add the text, I would add the text second to after the rotation. And the biggest thing that you want to look for is on your timeline, you'll note.
Wait, let me stop you because I can't do that because some of the images I have are the right width, they're landscape, but the video's vertical.
So you want to only highlight your video footage.
Okay.
So you'll have multiple layers, right? So if you have,
Yeah.
if you have, this is your video layer and you'll have a layer on top, you'll want to highlight all of your video layer so that then you can rotate just the video layer.
Okay.
So you'll want to do that. And then I would add the text secondary, but the biggest thing that typically happens with text is that it somehow gets moved down. So you'll notice that the text, just like adding an image, will also add a little box on top of your video layer. You'll want to make sure it's all the way up on the top. So if it's anywhere close to the bottom or underneath the video will show on top of it. And so I would
Okay.
make sure that you're seeing the bar come up when you add the text, and that it's at the very top of the timeline on top of all of your other clips, so that it knows that's the priority clip to show.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Other questions?
I have another one, Kelly.
Go for it.
Somebody else. So I had my whole timeline, my 27-minute timeline.
Yes.
And part of that, I found that, luckily it was like 30 minutes, but I found that I'd put a clip in twice. So when I took that clip out and I click on the next clip and I drag it to the left to do the magnet thing, right?
Uh-huh.
I have to do every single stinking one. How
Yeah,
can
yeah,
I?
that will drive you nuts. So
That's
you
what I did
wanna-
all day.
just like I told Rebecca, what you'll want to do is you're going to click. So from the point that there is the missing space, right? You want to click and highlight all of the stuff past that, all the way to the end of the 25 minutes, and then move that all the way over to the left. So you don't have to bring piece by piece by piece over. Otherwise, your
Okay, so I
mind
can
will
click
be-
and drag. Well, that's what I tried. I tried hitting the shift button and clicking on them, and then I'd accidentally miss one, and then it was.
Yeah, no, you will be able to. Here, I'll go ahead and pull up my Premiere project. I keep closing it out because it like lags my video just a bit. It's my computer doesn't want to run Premiere, the internet, and Zoom all simultaneously. It's not that strong. It's not that nice of a computer. But let me go ahead and show you what I'm talking about. So I've got my Premiere screen right here. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger because that is way too small for me. So I have, if I zoom in, you can see I have all these little cuts. And if I were to delete that cut, now I've got a blank spot, but I don't want to move everything piece by piece. So I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to click. I'm going to highlight everything that's up to that blue line, right?
Yay!
I can zoom in and then I can just pull everything at once. Now, notice I didn't click my blue things and now they're in the wrong spot. So I have to Command Z and make sure I get everything. That's the mistake that can happen often, that you can move just that video like we were talking with Rebecca. And sometimes I'll just keep zoomed in so I know that I'm flagging everything, and I just keep dragging my cursor to the right and let it go and go. You can still zoom out and it'll go faster. And now I can go back to where I was at and bring it all right with me to where I need it to be. So that should save you
Awesome, thank you.
lots of time. Lots
Where
and
were
lots and lots
you
of time.
24 hours ago?
Sorry, I was on the email. Just email me. I promise. I will email. I will send step by steps. I will try to troubleshoot from, not being in person the best I can. So email me if you're like, there's no way I'm pulling over 1 billion frames after frames. No. There's usually an easier way.
Well, thank you. That is what I did frame by frame, but I knew there had to be a better way. So thank
Yeah.
you.
Oh no, Rebecca, I'm so sorry. Other questions?
I'm sorry, I have another one. You're
Go for it. No, do not be sorry. I'm here.
gonna be I, Maria, again.
No, I am really here to be as supportive as I possibly can. So ask questions.
The other day I was like crying. I was like, okay, I can't do this.
That's okay.
Okay.
Sometimes that's part of learning something that is hard. Like I don't pretend that this process isn't hard, because it is hard. Like there are a lot of challenges with it. So you've got it.
Okay, so I have a question. So I did a cut and I was like hours and hours and hours at the beginning. I tried to cut it because it was like a long video, but I say like it's like teeny tiny letter. Like I say, oh, but I want to cut that. But for cutting, you need like a beginning and an ending.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried that, but it's so small that I can't cut it.
Okay,
Like,
so
it can, it doesn't let me, and that is bugging me because it's like an old sound, and it's like, so I don't know how to cut it.
So your timeline looks really small like this, and you're like, oh, this tiny little clip, although it looks like it's little seconds, actually takes way too long, and I want to shorten it. Is that correct?
It's only like that. I only say like, it's only like a milliseconds, like super, but I want to cut that thing. I want to eliminate, but I can because it's like super small.
Okay. So what you can do if you press your plus button, do you see how I keep getting closer and closer and closer and closer and closer? I can now, I'm basically looking at a magnifying glass version of my video and audio right here, and then what I have on my overlay. So I can cut out the millisecond. If I'm like, okay, I press play.
So much.
You can see how fast the time thing is scrolling, because in so much, it went 3 pages because I'm so zoomed in. So I would zoom in to exactly where you're at, and then you can just like either using your arrow key or moving this on your own, you can get the smallest minute cut. So this small part zoomed out is really, you can't even see it, right?
Okay.
So
now
you'll want to use the plus button to zoom in so that you can finesse the cut. And Rebecca, this is when we were talking about finessing the cut, this is kind of what I use, the plus and the minus, to get in as close as I want to, so I can cut just right at the perfect time to help make that transition from one to the next smoother. So that shortcut will help you a lot.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, of course.
I don't know if I can tell that's gonna be my last question, but for now, yeah.
Okay, no worries, no worries. If you have more questions, again, I am here to support you guys. Others, yeah, go for it, Jody.
Sorry, I have so many questions. So I've been having a little bit of trouble with my sound. When I did one of my recordings with the video and everything, the internet wasn't working great. And so it just made this sound, like shush, 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 shush sound. So I wanted to take the sound out. So I separated them out, but I need to put a new recording in. And when I tried to do the voiceover part on Premiere Pro, it just made a horrible sound. It picked up outside noises and stuff. So what would you recommend to do instead?
Do you have an iPhone by any chance?
I have an Android.
Okay, so I would then just record your audio through your Android. I'm gonna stop sharing because I'm gonna Google what the voice memo app is equivalent to in Android. Voice memo app for Android. So it looks like there are voice memos and voice recorder apps on Google Play that you can download. You could also just hit like record like you were filming and put your phone down and record just your sound, right? You would upload the video and then just delete the video and use the audio sort of thing.
Okay.
So I would record on your phone and then upload the audio into there. A little tip that I have found for having to redo voiceover, because I've done that a couple times, is I have Premiere Pro up, and it's a little bit of a cheating aspect. I have Premiere Pro up with the sound turned off. I press play on my timeline, and then I record myself on my phone as I'm watching the video with no sound, so that the timing is at least closer to what I was thinking. You'll want to make sure you have like a nice finessed cut so that you have the closest version as possible. But I would recommend using just your phone. It usually picks up really nice audio. I would do a couple testers, of course, but that would be my recommendation.
So how do I move that audio over to Premiere Pro then?
Yep. So what you'll want to do is it'll save to your phone, and typically your phone will have an option where you can like share your video or share the saved file, and you can either share it directly to your computer. Sometimes I'll like email it to myself, or I'll utilize Google Drive and like upload it onto a Google Drive on my phone that's logged in and then download it off the computer. So There are a couple different ways. Look at the PowerPoint we did on day 2 for filming, and there are some steps to get it off of like your phone that I know they won't be exactly the same, but it should be pretty similar. Usually it's like a rectangle with like a little arrow sticking out of it. It's kind of like if you were to share, like, so I'll be on vacation with someone and they'll be like, oh, can you share that photo with me? And I'll usually just send it to them. So you can do things like that where you can share it through another app, or even just email it to yourself and just download it straight from your email. And then do your process the same way you got your video into Premiere Pro. Put it into your files, your audio, you know, load it into your playhead, and then pull it into your sequence.
Okay, thanks. I think that's been my hardest issue, has been the sound stuff. So
Yes, sound can get really tricky. And so you can always re-record sound. Know that when you delete out your sound connected to your video, you'll also will delete out your nat sound, so your natural sound. So if I'm writing, I won't hear the zzz of the writing. If it's something really obvious, like I'm going to slam something down and I want to see paint splatter everywhere, I could always add a sound effect if it's still odd. So know that if you have anything that makes like audible sound that we're going to notice is not there, just keep that in mind as well. And then the other thing you can always do is if you want to add like a sound score underneath it at a really low volume, sometimes it can mask some of the like buzzing noises that like AC vents can pick up. So that's always a trick as well to mask or get rid of unwanted sound.
okay.
So those would be my recommendations, but I understand sound can be hard.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah, of course.
So I have a question along the same with sound. So I had my camera recording over it, and I didn't realize like every time I would open something, it's like right next to the, so you're just like, you know.
Yeah.
Well, that's just part of learning. That will be my learning part of this video. It's gonna stay because I'm not recording that for like.
Okay.
But I was wondering, like, I've seen where you can buy the little microphone that you can like put on your like shirt or something.
Yeah, like a lapel mic.
Yeah, so it's away from your camera. Is that something you would recommend to get rid of some of those sounds, or?
So there are a few things I would recommend. One, I'll always recommend having everything already open, if possible. I mean, if you're working with like, I don't know, clay, then maybe having it open like from the get-go, if you're filming something that's going to take hours, not as great of an idea. But always try to have things open. Lapel mics, they are great for picking up sound. You can get one that is super cheap, and you might as well have been screaming to your phone from like down the street. That's how little quality it picks up. The problem with the lapel mic that I have found is that if you put it on like a loose t-shirt like this, it rubs against your chest really easily. And if you are using your arms a lot like me, I then just make it worse by shoving it against my chest. So if I were to get a mic, there are some, they're called Rode mics. And what they do is they clip onto like a desk or a tripod, or if you have a camera, they screw right into the camera. They pick up better audio. It's, if you open up a bag of chips next to the mic, it's going to hear that. So I would try and have things opened, or my recommendation is if you need to have it closed, I would say, okay, first I'm going to open my bag of chips. Take a little pause, make all the noise I need to make, get it ready, and then say, next I'm going to put my chips in the salsa. So I would also like give a little bit of space if you're filming next time, if you don't want to invest in like sound equipment. There are programs in Adobe that can do, it's called a denoiser. It gets pretty complex, I'm not gonna lie. It gets pretty complex. I am happy to share with you how to do that. It's okay. I'm happy to share. It does get pretty complex. The other thing you can consider is if you're not talking while the noise is happening, you can go into your audio timeline, right? And adjust the noise levels. So if you're like, I'm gonna get my bag of chips, and maybe I'm even saying something that you don't need, and you're hearing this, maybe you just turn the volume down, and then when you're done with it and you're either moving on to more important instruction or that sound is over, you can pull the volume back up. So that can sometimes also help mask those moments. But yes, that I have unzipped a jacket in the middle of an interview and it was like zoop, the loudest jacket in the world. I've learned not to wear like puffy clothes on set because it's just like shoo, 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 every time I move. But yes, I've done that not once, not twice, but many of times. So it's a process. Other questions you might have? Okay. Maria, are you trying to unmute? Or are you working on your project? Okay, I wanted to make sure I didn't want to like cut people off because I would like want to be, I don't want to be the professor who like shows up. It's like, here's the information, bye. I want to be helpful. I want to share anything that I have to make this work to help you make it work. Awesome. Feel free to email me. Let me know if you have any questions at all. Thank you guys so much. I know it's been challenging. So thank you for, pushing past it, trying new things, learning new things, especially during a pandemic. We're learning new things during a pandemic. That's stressful in itself. So thank you for going there and trying and learning. And I just appreciate all of your, willingness to try new things. So awesome. Thank you. Yeah, Rebecca, you have a quick question about class.
Well, not about class. Did you get an email from me about?
I did. So
I'm just wondering if it went out because nobody has responded.
Yeah. So a little out of my my realm. So it's a little bit more Mara question, but she is on sabbatical. So I see her about once a month. So when I meet with her, probably next month, I'll bring it up to her.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's okay. I just was starting to wonder if it had even gone out and I checked.
Yeah, no, I got it. It's there. I feel bad I haven't emailed back, but
right.
I have to talk to Tamara about it first before I can do anything.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Good night.
Night.